So special considerations in configuration layout. Okay. So whenever we seen that the configuration layout in the previous section, so what are the configuration sections? We seen that each and every component of an aircraft. So what is the home for example, it may be landing gear, it may be the understood the fuel where we need to fill it and where the wing will be fixed. So each and everything we see in that. What is a lofting? Lofting is a mathematical modeling of an outer skin of an aircraft. It is called as a lofting, right? So therefore, after these, and we see the different type of determinations, we can see the wetted area determination, and we have a these are called as a aircraft layout procedures, we will call. What are those called as a aircraft layout procedures by using a wetted area determination. So next we see that a volume determination, and we have a different type of plots also we looked into it. So just let us discuss about special considerations in a configuration layout. So whenever you are going to do the configuration layout, so according to that, it may be twin engine, it may be the swept back, it may be the such what type of monocoque, such type like a type of an fuselage, and a different type of configurations. When you look at it, to consider that we have some of the special considerations. The first one is called aerodynamic considerations. Already you know that whenever you are going to do the lofting, we have a longerons, we have a like a what do you call contours. So we have a smooth uh, the control station should be there. We have in the previous sections we discussed it. I'll just show you it. So you can see that when we are looking for this, so in this section, so whenever you are seeing that, you can see that cross section development of longitudinal control lines to get a smooth lines. And also we have seen the different type of control stations. We have a 120, 240, 370, 500 and 290, correct? So therefore, how aerodynamically it should be a smooth, and there should not be a much more losses. So we see the different type of drags for it, correct? So therefore we have to look into it. So by that only we are going to consider the configuration load. You can see the longitudinal control lines. We have called a longitudinal control lines. So according to that, so how we are going to longitudinal control lines are used to create a new cross section between the second and the third cross section of a previous defined. Means whenever you design it, so by this design we are going to consider some of the special considerations. Those are all called as a aerodynamic considerations. We have vulnerability considerations. We have a different type of considerations. That one what we are going to look into it now. So you can see here in this aerodynamic considerations, the overall arrangement and smoothness of the fuselage can have a major effect on aerodynamic efficiency. So if the turbulence is higher, losses will be higher. So therefore the smoothness of the fuselage can have a major effect on aerodynamic efficiency. Okay, a poorly designed aircraft can have excessive flow separation. So therefore the flow separation should not be there. Always when you look into it, the flow separation should not occur at an early stage. So therefore we have to delay the flow separation in such a way that we are going to get an aerodynamic efficiency. And also a poor wing fuselage arrangement can cause a lift losses or a disruption of the desired elliptical lift distribution. So when the lift distribution is occurring, so it should have a uniformity, and also you should give a good lift where the losses should be less. Okay, if the losses are higher at the time, it will not be aerodynamically fit. So therefore those are all the things what we are going to consider. For that sake, we are going to do a aerodynamic analysis. So a variety of first order estimation methods will be presented. During the concept layout, the designer must consider the requirements of aerodynamics based upon the experience and a good eye. Experience and a good eye. Okay. So minimization of wetted area is the most powerful aerodynamic considerations for virtually all aircraft. So here again we are speaking about wetted area. So minimization of the wetted area. So how much it is exposing, and also there it is affecting. So therefore S wet and S reference when you speak about it. Wetted surface area, that is the area which is exposed to air, which is exposed to air, which is exposed to air. So therefore that the minimization of that will be most powerful aerodynamic considerations what you are virtually all aircraft. So that is the thing, that is minimization of the wetted area. And wetted area is directly affects on the friction drag. Already you know that. So the flow over the skin. So what happens? The friction between the air and the body. So what happens if that friction between the fluid as well as the body, if it is more at other time, what happens? The viscous we will call. So at that time what happens? If the friction is more, the frictional drag it induces a drag there again. So therefore wetted area is directly affects on the friction drag. Fuselage wetted area is minimized by the tight internal packaging and low fitness ratio. Already you know that length with a diameter of an aircraft, it is called as a fitness ratio. a short or a fat fuselage. However, excessively tight packing should be avoided maintainability considerations, and short fat fuselage have a short tail moment and arm which increases the required tail areas. The short fat fuselage will also have a high supersonic wave drag. So it depends upon that in which speed the aircraft is going up. According to that, we can see that high supersonic wave drag we will call. Another major driver of a good aerodynamic design during the fuselage layout out is maintenance of smooth longitudinal contours. During the configuration, already I shown you that the longitudinal contours should be smooth. So to get a good aerodynamic design, okay, these can be provided by the use of smooth longitudinal control lines, we will call. They're called as the control lines, and we spoke about the control stations, correct? So generally longitudinal brakes contour should follow the radius at least equal to the fuselage diameter at that point. And to prevent the separation of the airflow, the aft fuselage deviation from the free stream direction should be exceed. So please make the note of it here. Aft fuselage should have the free stream direction. The angle of deviation should be around 10 to 12 degrees. However, the air inflow induced by a pusher propeller will prevent the separation despite counter angles up to 30 degree or more. So therefore we know that pusher prop and tractor prop. What is pusher prop? From the back, what we are going to put is tractor prop from the front. So therefore it depends upon that tractor and a pusher prop. Okay. And when I speak about in this, we can see these are the things. When I speak about here, we have small radius corners, and you can see so this type of is called as it's called a pusher prop. So how it is, and the angle between that, you can see that in that cone, the tail cone, and you can see 10 to 12 degree maximum and small radius corners according to the longitudinal contour lines. A lower surface unsweep about 25 degree can be tolerated for a rare loading transport aircraft provided for the fuselage lower corners. These are called the lower corners. These are called the lower corners. Okay, so in this, when I look here in this, you can see the and also the importance of the well-designed wing fillets has already been discussed. The fillets are especially important for low wing. See, these fillets we will call, whenever you're going to fix up the wing, we have a fillets for a low wing high-speed aircraft such as jet transport, mainly for a jet transport. So these aircraft will frequently have a modified wing root airfoil for further minimize the fuselage interface and shock-induced drag increases. So therefore, the shock-induced drag increases, and the base area is any unfaired rearward facing blunt surface. Base area causes extremely high drag due to the low pressure experienced by the rearward facing surface. Okay, so therefore, when I look here, so in this section, when we look here, so however, in the base area between very near to the jet exhaust may be filled in by the pressure filled with exhaust. That's called partial over elevating the drag penalty. You can see in this is the thing what we are speaking about, elevating. So you can see that is 30 degree, and this is 10 to 12 degree, 15 degree. So they're called a small radius corners. Okay, so in this and also we see here for supersonic aircraft, the greatest aerodynamic impact upon the configuration layout results from the desired maximum supersonic wave drag, pressure drag due to the formation of shocks. This is analytically related to the longitudinal change in the aircraft's total cross-section area. It is longitudinally or aircraft's total cross-section area. Thus, a good volume distribution. See that we see the different type of when you see the procedures for it, that is called good volume distribution, and wave drag viewpoint as the required total internal volume distributed longitudinally in the fashion that minimizes the curvature in the volume distribution plot. So whenever you plot a volume distribution, the curvature should be less. And for example, when you take up a Sears hack body, so having the lowest wave drag, this is an aircraft. Just go back and look into how the Sears hack look like. Okay, if an aircraft could be designed with a volume plot shaped like the Sears hack, so if I'm going to design according to the volume distribution how the aircraft for Sears hack is given, so at that time would have the minimum wave drag at Mach 1 for the given length and total internal volume. It will be having how much? That's a wave drag will be at a Mach 1 for a given length and a total internal volume. So however, then usually impossible to exactly or even approximately match the CS hack shape of the real aircraft. So therefore, it's not that much easy to have a CS hack shape of the real aircraft. Fortunately, the major drag reductions will be obtained by simply by smoothing the volume distribution. So just make up the smoothing. At that time, what happens? There will not be a loss. Will not be having a much loss. So therefore, at that time, we're having a smoothing the volume distribution shape. So we have to make up the distribution shape should be smoother at that time. So turbulence will be less. The lamina, like a linear, like a laminar flow, will be good. And so when we look here, so in this we can see this is the thing what we are speaking about, the design. This is called volume. You can see volume and distribution of volume coefficient. When you look here, you can see that how the volume distribution plot and the area under the curve, there is supersonic area. It's called a Coke bottle, like you can look here. And this is the wing, and this is for a fuselage, and this is the wing. The smooth area progress, lower maximum cross section, and the cross section area versus, we can say, design for low wave drag. How we are going to design for the low wave drag according to the sections. You can see that where there we having a curvature under it, so it will be reduces a supersonic wave drag. And this design technique developed by R. Whitcomb of a NACA, so is referred as the area ruling or a Coke bottling. So already I told you it is look like a Coke bottle. It's called a Coke bottle rule or area ruling, we will call. Please go back and make up the short notes on area ruling or Coke bottling, okay, and can reduce the wave drag as much as by 50%. Just remember, area ruling or a Coke bottling. We can see this is called a Coke bottle rule. Understood? Look like a what? So therefore, what happens here? It is will be reduces around wave drag around up to 50%, up to 50%. Okay. Note that volume removed at the center of the fuselage must be provided elsewhere, either by lengthening the fuselage or by increasing its cross-sectional area in other places. So therefore, either by lengthening, by increasing the length of an fuselage, or by increasing the cross-sectional area in the other places. Okay. And we can look here into structural considerations. When I come to structural considerations, the one we looked into aerodynamic considerations, now we are going for a structural consideration. In a most large companies, the configuration designer is not ultimately responsible for a structural arrangement. So therefore, configuration engineer will not be having is not ultimately responsible for a structural arrangement of the aircraft. That is the responsibility of the structural design group. It is a responsibility of structural design group. So, however, a good configuration designer will consider the structural impacts of general arrangement of the aircraft. It will be, in fact, that at least have an initial idea of the workable structural arrangement, how it will be workable structural arrangement. And the primary concern in this development and a good structural arrangement is provision efficient of load paths. So, wherever the load path we are going, it is having a capability to withstand that load or not. So these are all the things should be taken into considerations when you are going for a structural design. So structural elements by which opposing the forces are connected and the primary forces to be resolved, or the lift wing to the opposing the weight major part of the aircraft such as engines and payload. The size of the weight of the structural members will be minimized by locating these opposing forces near to each other. So therefore, these are the things, whatever the loads which are acting on that, we know that lift, weight, thrust, and drag, these are all the forces which are acting on that. So therefore, we have to know that the size of the weight of the structural members will be minimized by locating these opposing forces nearer to each other. We can see in this picture, we can have a clearly, we can understand here. So how the lift distribution is occurring. You can see this is a lift distribution, how it is occurring. And also we can look here at the center line of the lift distribution. So you can see how it is. So wherever the larger, we can the nasal portion and the wingtip store. So according to that, we can see that wing distribution, the span loading for weight. So wherever the higher, it's a higher load, and the smaller loads, you can see how the graph goes, right? So the under the curve, you can see that this is called wingtip store. So it is a realistic wing and fuselage, ideally span loaded. Ideally, it is uniformly, it is equally, we can look into it. But so realistic wing and fuselage, how it will be loaded, we can see here. In this also, we can only keep up in this engine at the wingtip, we can understand here. Okay, that's called weight distribution. And for example, at the lower longerons, you can see a so in this, we can see that in some designs, the lower longerons are placed near the bottom of the aircraft. A kink over the wing box is avoided, passing the longeron under through the wing box. This minimizes the weight but complicates both fabrication and repair of the aircraft. But it may reduces the weight, but what happens, it will be minimizes weight but complication of both the fabrication. During the fabrication will be complications and also repair of the aircraft. And also for aircraft such as transporters which have a fewer cutouts and concentrated loads, can be fighter fuselage will be constructed with a large number of stringers. So you can see the stringers. So the people who are going to design a fuselage, please make the note of it. They've got number of stringers which are distributed around the circumference of the fuselage. What is circumference? Is the total length. So weight is minimized when the stringers are all straight and uninterrupted. Okay. Another major structural element to carry through the bending loads is called keelson. Another, it is called what? Keelson. that this is like the keel on a boat, and this is a large beam placed at the bottom of the fuselage. A keelson is frequently used to carry a fuselage bending loads through the portion of the lower fuselage which is cut up by the wheel wells. Okay, as the wing provides the lift force, load path distances can be reduced by locating the heavy weights items as near to the wing as possible. Similarly, weight can be reduced by locating the structural cutouts away from the wing, and required structural cutouts include the cockpit area and variety of doors. It might be, for example, passengers, weapons bay, landing gear, engine cases, and especially for a poor arrangement, if the arrangement was not done properly. So therefore, main landing gear retracting into the wing box area, which requires a large cutout, because when it is retracting to the wing, we should have a home for the landing gear should be given up. So that one what we have seen in the configuration layout and lofting process, where the loads are the greatest. We can see in the figure, we can understand here, we can see in this, we can see that this is called kinked longeron. So understood in the, so where we are going for a home for the landing gear and where it will be fixed. You can see in this also, we can see that wing box carrying through. So how the wing box is carrying through, you can see the shape of it, you can see in the shape of that we can understand, and you can see the different type of structures, how it is going through the fuselage. And you can see this is strut based, and the ring frames and a bending wave. And also we can see the structural concepts of fuselage loads. You can see we have a stringers, and you have a keelson used for a longerons. You can see the I section and T sections will be using up, how the load will be acting on it. Whenever you are going to design a wing, will understand wing, or it may be a fuselage structures, will understand how the loading will be distributed and what type of material we are going to use it there. Okay, so therefore ring frame approaches relies upon the large heavy bulkheads to carry through the bending moment. So therefore it is mainly, it is like a bending moments, and the wing panels are attached to the fittings on the side of these fuselage bulkheads, while the approach is usually heavier from a stronger viewpoint. Okay, so therefore resulting drag reduction at the high speeds has led to use the approach for the most modern aircrafts. And also bending beam carried through can be viewed as a compromise between these two approaches. So therefore bending beam, so with a ring frame as well as with a, understood, the what you call, we have a bulkheads. So what we are going to speak about it, the bending beam carried through can be viewed as a compromise between these two approaches. So therefore we have seen that like the ring frame approach, the wing panels are reattached to the side of the fuselage, carry the lift forces. Okay, and also aircraft wings usually have the front spar at about 20 to 30% of the chord back and leading edge. The raised spar is usually about 60 to 75% of the chord location. So therefore additional spars may be located between the front and the raised spars, forming the multi-spar structure. So therefore multi-spar structure is typical for large and a high speed aircraft. Okay, so in the wing skin over the spars as an integral part of a wing structure, it's called a wing box. It is called wing box. Okay, so mainly we'll look into a wing box optimization and structural analysis. So this is called, you can see in this, we can see the typical wing box structure, how it looks. So they can see wing attachments to the fuselage, and we have, this is called a kick spar, and we have a main spars. So and also carrying through the box for a ring form. So whenever you are doing for a wing box structural optimization, we are considering the each and everything, rips, spars, longerons, stringers, everything will be considered. Okay, and next it is, we are going to speak about, you can see that integral fuel tank, which is existing structure, is simply sealed fuel filled with a fuel required for no clearance other than the thickness of the skin. So therefore there is no easy formula to estimation of a structural clearance. The designer must use judgment acquired through the experience. So therefore whatever you have a previous experience when you are going to design it, so what all the drawbacks you got it, so by that experience you can give a good design. Okay, so therefore judgment other than the actual design experience is by looking at the existing designs. By looking at the existing designs, what are the drawbacks and what all the problems will be faced by it. By taking up those considerations, you can give a optimization for it. Mainly we'll do the wing box optimizations accordingly. So therefore we have to consider that. So next it is nothing but we are coming with a radar detectability. We know that radio detection and ranging detectability, ever since the dawn of military aviation, attempts have been made to reduce the detectability of aircraft during the World War I. So therefore aircraft should not detect by the radar. So that is the thing what we have seen from the World War I. The only sensor is used was human eyeball. Before that we are only using the human eye. Okay, fine, if it is looking to the vision, it is coming to the sight of an eye, so at that time we can tell that, oh, their aircraft flies. So therefore beyond that, what happens, we have a radar detectability what we are making up. And also we are using a camouflage paint, is mottled patterns was used on both the sides to reduce the chance of detection. So therefore when we have a color, when you have different colors, when you like camouflage paint, what happens at the time, the each color has its own frequency and wavelength. It will not easily, because our eye is sensitive to some colors. So at that time what happens, we cannot look into it. To reduce the detection, we given a lot of attempts. So one is about camouflage paint and also radar. So that is a radar is a primary sensor used against aircraft today, consists of a transmitter antenna that broadcast a directed beam of electromagnetic radio waves to receive the antenna, which picks up the faint radio waves to reduce the of objects illuminated by the radio beam. So therefore, so what is this? The radio, it is nothing but what it is called radar, is nothing but what radio detection and ranging. The primary sensor used against aircraft today. Before we used to use as an eyeball is the only sensor, but today we are going to look into a radar that is called radio detection and ranging. Okay, and also we have a different type of usually transmitter and receiver antennas are collected. So we have a monostatic radar, although some systems have them in different locations. They are called a bistatic radar, and we have a one single position, it's called monostatic, and we have a bistatic radar. And detectability to radar has been concerned since radar was first used in World War II, and chaff was the first radar. So you can remember, the chaff was the first radar. And stealth technology. What is the stealth technology? Stealth technology is a technology where the aircraft will not be detected by the radar. That is called a stealth technology, we will call. Chaff, also called window, is consisting of a bits of metal foil or metallized fibers dropped by an aircraft to create many radar echoes that hide its actual echo return. So therefore at that time we'll not come to know that, because when it is forming up the different echoes, so this system will not recognize that where the object lies. So therefore, so we know that whenever the what you call bat is called as the bat is a natural radar, we will call. So whenever you want to get a prey where it is a distance, it will send its radar, it will hit up and it will come back, right? So therefore the distance traveling and coming back divided by 2, what we will do. In the same way, what happens, we have a different echoes when it is coming up. At that time it could not detect exactly. So therefore the chaff was the first radar stealth technology where you could not detect it, where exact position and the location of an object. Okay, the chaff is still useful against the less sophisticated radars. Okay, chaff obscures the actual location of the aircraft, that does not allow the aircraft to pass unnoticed. To avoid detection, the aircraft must return such a low amount of transmitted radio beam of the receiver antenna cannot distinguish between its background radio static. So therefore we have the extent of which object returns of electromagnetic energy, the objects, that is called radio cross section, we will call. What is that? The extent to which an object returns electromagnetic energy is is the object's radar cross section. What is this? RCS is usually measured in square meters or in decibel square meters or with a 0 dBsm, even to 10 to the 0 power or the 1 square meter 20 dBsm, the decimal square meter, equals to the second power or 100 square meters, because the radar signal strength is an inverse function of the fourth power of the distance of the target. It takes very substantial reduction in RCS to obtain the meaningful operational benefit. So therefore actually the RCS and aircraft, it is having a single number. The RCS is different for each look angle. It depends upon the each look angle of an pilot. Okay, also RCS varies depending upon the frequency and the polarization of a threat radar. So it depends upon the frequency and polarization, and the following comments relate to the typical threat radars seen by a aircraft. And also please go back and just look into it, what are the RCS. And also we have major RCS contributors. You can see the different type of cockpit cavity and also radome, inlet cavity, flight sides or flat sides of fuselage, landing edges, and we can see the missile installation gaps and irregularities, corner reflectors, exhaust cavity, flat side of tail, and scattering of discontinuity. So this is the thing how it is. RCS, and this is a radar. It will go high and it's come back. You can see the hits and it will come back. And it's a low RCS. You can see it is a changing its direction. That's a parallel directions, and you can see in the random direction. This is called flat side RCS reduction. Okay, so it depends. So please go back and just look into it how this how much it is important. You can see in this surface current scatterings, they're called eddy currents, we will call actually mainly in this. So what happens here, surface current scatterings will not come to know that exact locations. They are in the random directions there when you could not detect it. So therefore such type of technology also we are using up, it not be by the stealth technology, it may be, or surface current scatterings. By that easily will not find that where exactly that location the radar comes and hits, also will not come to know that. That is called surface current scatterings. Please go back and look into it. And the next part of it, when you look here, we have a detectability reduction approaches, and we have from the RCS, and we have a infrared detectability, IR detectability also concerns the aircraft designer. Many short range air to air, ground to air missiles rely upon IR seekers. Please make the note of it. Infrared detectability also concerns with the aircraft designer. Many short range air to air and ground to air missiles rely upon IR seekers. Modern IR sensors are sensitive enough to detect not only the radiation emitted by the engine exhaust and hard parts, but also the emitted by the whole aircraft skin due to the aerodynamic heating. So whenever the aircraft is flying at higher speed due to the friction, there will be heat produced on the understood aircraft skin. So that also will be detected, the aerodynamic heating at a transonic and supersonic speed. Also, the sensors can detect the solar IR radiation that reflects off the skin and the convex transparencies, windows, correct? So these are all the things what you have to make up. And background contrast is reduced to primary and camouflage points using the colors, surfaces, textures that cause the aircraft to reflect light at an intensity of color equal to the background. So therefore, it should not be happen. So therefore, according to that, we are going to use of the different type of camouflage paints will be used. You can see that whenever the painting of an aircraft also plays a very important role. Okay. So, and oral signature, and you can see the oral signature. So in this, we can see about it here. In this you can see uh, oral signatures and crashworthiness considerations